Hi team, welcome to a very late night video that I don't know why I'm doing this. I just watched this interview and I thought I've got to share it with you. It's absolutely fascinating. It's an absolutely brilliant interview of someone who I really don't like. And so it gives me great joy to see someone fall apart like this, especially when just given simple questions that we would expect with anyone who wants to critically analyze claims that are made, right? Who are we talking about? We're talking about Stephen Miller. Who is Stephen Miller? He was in the Trump administration in 2016 onwards. He has been seen as one of these, like Steve Bannon, one of these people that was ideologically behind the Trump administration and is behind his present bid for the White House for presidency. He, I think, is involved with Project 2025, and he is also widely seen as a white supremacist, largely due to leaked emails. November 2019, Southern Poverty Law Center acquired more than 900 emails Miller sent Breitbart News writer Katie McHugh between 2015 and 16. The emails became the basis of an expose that showed that Miller had enthusiastically pushed the views of white nationalist publications such as American Renaissance and Vidare, as well as far-right conspiracy website InfoWars, and promoted the Camp of the Saints, a French novel circulating among neo-Nazis, shaping both White House policy and Breitbart's coverage of racial politics, etc., etc., etc. Okay, loads of articles about him. If you don't know who Stephen Miller is, after Stephen Miller's white nationalist views outed, Latino's article "Where's the GOP outrage?" and there wasn't enough outrage about him being seen as this. New York Times here, the white nationalist websites cited by Stephen Miller from those leaked emails. Former Breitbart editor themselves saying Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. I know, I was one too. And then, Stephen Miller, the white nationalist at the heart of Trump's White House. Okay, so that's who he was. If you don't know him, go and look him up. One of my least liked individuals in that sort of 2016 era. So this is on the back of. So he's he's in the spin room here, where he is questioned by a Venezuelan journalist who says, "I asked Stephen Miller, one of Donald Trump's top advisors, what is the evidence for saying that Caracas and Venezuela are safer than the United States?" So this is a claim from Trump. And rightly, if someone makes a claim, I talk to you about this all the time, okay, brilliant. Where are the stats? Where's the justification? Otherwise, this is a mere assertion and you're just claiming stuff, and I can just say the moon is made of cheese. So we want some evidence for these claims. And the claims are that Caracas and Venezuela are safer than the US because they've exported all their criminals to the US and now it's safer. Except Venezuela is seen as one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world, and etc., etc., etc. Okay, so it seems highly unlikely that that is actually the case. So as Jose Maria Del Pino says, he began by answering that it is the government's numbers. I asked him if he trusted Maduro's numbers, and this was his reaction. And you just have to watch this. Also because this is excellent journalism. You stick to your point, you keep asking the question, you do not get emotionally involved, and you do not get sidetracked, and you do not get involved in a tit for tat kind of interaction. This is good, solid journalism, and Stephen Miller shows himself to be unhinged.
What will happen? All these
Day one.
all these criminal migrants that have been flooded in the country are going to be the first to get thrown out of here. I mean, you've seen case after case, these heartbreaking tragedies. Those ones are going to get found and deported first. And look at this Venezuelan gang. You have a Venezuelan gang that is taking over entire apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, and that's responsible, by the way, for some of the most heinous crimes that have happened all over the United States. The crime rate in Venezuela is down, I believe, a little bit over 60%. Over the last several years.
Are you trusting the official figures from the Venezuelan dictatorship?
Let's put it this way. If you're a dictator of a poor country with a high crime rate, wouldn't you send your criminals to our open border?
That wasn't my question. Are you trusting the figures of the dictatorships? Those are Maduro numbers.
I am believing that it is in the interest of a criminal dictator to let his criminals out of their jails and come to our country.
Do you have numbers, real numbers, not
I have
dictatorship numbers?
The Venezuelan gangs that have, you've seen the CCTV footage. I have a question. Who do you think? Answer me
My
this.
family is from Venezuela. I know very well the situation of Caracas and many other
Right,
cities.
and tell me, who were the people with the high-powered rifles in the hallway of that apartment building? Who were they?
They were gangsters from Venezuela.
Right. No American community.
But I was asking to you about figures, numbers,
What I'm saying
facts.
to you is the facts are the dead bodies. The facts are.
You said that Caracas has the
facts are-
lowest crime
the
rate
facts
than the
are-
USA.
The facts are the mutilated bodies. The facts are the people in the.
So the reality here is that Stephen Miller is just talking about these anecdotes, which, you know, may well be true and may well be horrible situations where a Venezuelan gang has done X, Y, and Z. But that is not representative of anything other than a bunch of people that just happen to be Venezuelan doing bad things in the US. It doesn't say anything about the crime statistics that are claimed that Venezuela or Caracas have lower crime statistics than the US. And that is what is being put to Stephen Miller and is what he is absolutely not answering. And, you know, you can go and look into these rumors that are circulating in right-wing media spaces. You know, what led to rumors Trump shared about Venezuelan gangs taking over a Colorado building. And we have here from NPR, Aurora police chief says there's no evidence that Venezuelan gang took over the apartment. Okay, so, but actually that's irrelevant. We don't want to be concerning ourselves with the facts or rumors concerning this one anecdote because it is an anecdote. And you've got to understand that anecdotes do not equal fact, which is why in the morning when I do my Ukraine hits and losses videos and I always make a point to say, but this is an anecdote and we don't know that this is representative of what is going on at large. And I try and say that all the time, because I don't want to mislead my audience. Stephen Miller here is misleading the audience, and he's found out for doing that, and his only recourse is to get super angry.
Morgues that are dead.
I was asking you about Caracas and the numbers in Caracas. Are you trusting the numbers of the dictatorship
I am
to state
trusting
what
the fact that Kamala Harris is
Why are you
letting
yelling?
illegal immigrants into this country
Why
who
are you yelling?
raping and murdering children.
I had been very respectful. Why are you yelling?
Do you know who Jocelyn Nungri is? Do you know who she is?
Do you know how
Tell me
many
who she is.
people
Who
is
she?
experiencing
Who is
violence
she?
in Caracas?
Who is she? Who is Laken Riley?
Why
Who
are you
is
yelling
she?
again?
Because I'm yelling because children are being raped and murdered.
I was just
by
asking for
illegal
figures,
immigrants.
and you have not
Children
replied to
are
me
being
about
raped
those
and
figures.
murdered. Do you know who Kayla
Do
Hamilton
you
is?
trust the numbers of
Do you know
Nicolas
her
Maduro?
story?
I'm asking
I
again.
trust a ruthless dictator will empty his prisons and send their criminals to our country.
So you trust his numbers?
The most dangerous gang in Venezuela is
You
now
trust
occupying
Nicolas
apartment
Maduro?
buildings. I trust that he does not want his criminals to be.
So you believe in his numbers?
I believe he's sending his criminals to our country.
And
Do
do you
you
think
not-
that the crime rate in
Do you not
Venezuela have
believe- Do you
decreased?
not believe the law enforcement reports of Venezuelan gangs in this country?
I was asking for
Are
the Venezuelan
gangs-
government
are
figures,
Venezuelan
not
gangs
the
in this
figures
country
here.
Or not? Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not? Yes or no?
What
Yes or
are
no?
the
Yes or
figures
no?
that you
Yes or
say
no?
to say
Yes
that
or no?
in Caracas?
What's really good here that the journalist doesn't answer Miller's question, because that is a way of deflecting, is stick to my I've got one question for you and I will keep going for as long as it takes for you to answer. And the fact that Stephen Miller is getting super angry is both delicious and revealing. And it is clear that he has absolutely no statistical basis for his claim, or indeed, you know, for Trump's claim by extension. He has absolutely no justification for those claims. And because he knows he's been publicly found out, he is spitting the dummy here. He is getting super angry. And I love it.
Caracas,
Yes or
the
no?
number is
Are
lower than in the
Venezuelan gangs-
USA.
Are Venezuelan gangs in this country or not?
So you don't have numbers.
Are Venezuela? You know who has numbers? The Department of Homeland Security. You can ask Mayorkas for numbers. You can ask the Director Ray for the numbers.
Sir,
I'm telling you.
you said
you think
that in
Nicolas
Venezuela
Maduro-
the crime rate is lower than the
Because-
USA.
Yes, because the
What are
criminals
your
are
numbers?
here
That's
now.
my question.
Because the criminals are here now.
Those are Maduro's numbers.
I can tell you again that Border Patrol agents are encountering
Do you
thousands
trust
of gang
Maduro
members.
numbers?
I trust the border agents in our country.
But
and
they
I
are
hope
not
that
saying
you
that
have the
Caracas has a
fundamental-
lower crime rate.
Children are dead, and you are wasting my time.
No, I am not wasting
Children
your
are
time.
being raped.
I'm asking
Do you
for
have
facts
any
as a
remorse for the-
journalist.
Do you have any remorse for the dead children? Do you care at all about the dead children?
Absolutely.
Then that's what I want to leave you with, is that Donald Trump will...
And I love that. All you need to say is absolutely. back to you. This is really good. It's simple, but it's great. He does not get sucked in. Do you have remorse for it? Absolutely. So, what are the numbers? Do you? Yes. What are the numbers? Love it.
Was just asking for figures.
Here's what's going to happen. Donald Trump is going to be elected president, and the migrant gangs are going to be sent home. Children's lives will be saved. And you know who will benefit the most? Are the working class Hispanic communities that are besieged by gang violence.
So you don't have figures.
Public schools that are being overtaken by migrant gangs. You have MS-13 that is brutalizing children. You have Kayla Hamilton, who was a 20-year-old autistic girl who was raped and murdered, beaten to death. That will end, that will stop, and our children's lives will be saved. That is the most virtuous thing that can possibly be done. We are going to save the lives of our children. We will not let Kamala Harris condemn them to a life of misery, suffering, and death. Thank you.
I'm not replying my question.
Just brilliant. And I could bore you with, like, look at his eyes as he's saying this. Like, he's kind of both panicking, but also just going through his fighting system in his head, just throwing out these names, because that makes him feel like it's more official that if I give you names of real people, I mean, these may be real horrific incidences, but again, it's just an anecdote. Yeah, I could give you a horrific example of any demographic in the UK having been responsible for any kind of crime. But that doesn't make a trend, it doesn't make a larger statistic, and I can't draw any other greater conclusion without doing some kind of scientific analysis, or drawing from someone else doing scientific analysis, or some kind of data collection. Just giving out a string of people's names who have been horrifically, like, murdered or have crimes against them as a result of X, Y, and Z does nothing. It is just anecdote. And the journalist here is top rate, and Stephen Miller is an absolute douchebag of the highest order. Like, I don't like him as a human being, and to see him just flail here and realize that he's got nothing, and to get angry as a result of that, it's just super revealing. And I just had to share that with you. Sometimes I see things and go, I've got to share that. Like, that affects me, and that gets me, like, excited or angry or this or that. And by extension, you guys are an extension of my mind in some sense, or you are kind of the team. And so I'm sharing it with you. Make of it what you will. Leave your comments as to what you think of this, what your opinions of Stephen Miller are, and let me know if you think it's revealing at all.